Hello and welcome to News Swarm. I'm your host Chris with the CHRILLCAST. Today I want to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe, and we have a new platform we're putting content on. That's right, it is CHRILLCAST.substack.com. CHRILLCAST.substack.com. On it we're posting two types of content, one being news/breakdown/tech articles, and number two is our Conversations with the CHRILLCAST series. So you can see we've got 3 interviews. It's the audio version with a link to the YouTube channel video. So if you never want to miss a conversation with the CHRILLCAST, even if it's after it premieres, make sure you subscribe to the Substack, CHRILLCAST.substack.com, so that you can always be aware when those are being posted and catch the latest news, mostly as written by me, Chris from the CHRILLCAST. Okay. This is important because there's an article here that nobody else is covering that we wrote. The title is Hope for PS4 Error Code SU-42118-6. Is Sony finally fixing one of their biggest PS4 errors? Since I am the author of this article, I will be reading it word for word and talking about it in details. So here we go. Ever since we started covering the PS4 update issues on our News Swarm segments, there have been several unexplainable and pretty much unfixable issues brought to our attention in the comments sections of our videos. One of the most prevalent and unfixable codes has been error code SU-42118-6. This code signifies an issue with the Blu-ray disc drive of a PlayStation 4 console, and generally speaking, there is no easy fix for this error code. We've already done some pretty significant coverage of this error code and all the information associated with it on our YouTube channel below in that video, which is titled PS4 SU-42118-6 Error Code Explained. And if you really want to, you can go find it. I will link it somewhere in this video, whether it's in the description, the outro, somewhere. It'll be somewhere you can find it. Might even be in the preview pane next to this video if you're looking at that. So there you go. Make sure you watch it if you're curious. For those who don't have the time to watch this video, I will summarize briefly what we have learned about this error code. Basically, the PS4 error code SU-42118-6 has a few reasons why it could show up. Number 1. Blu-ray disc drive connector has gotten loose and requires being reseated. Number 2, and by the way, it's just like a little connector that's literally like a little ribbon cable that seats in to a connector on the motherboard and allows the Blu-ray drive to make contact with the motherboard and communicate across that wire. Anyways, long story short, it's a communication between the Blu-ray drive and the motherboard, and it can be loose and reseated, and that problem can be solved in some cases. Number 2. The hard drive needs to be reformatted or replaced due to corrupted files. Less common, but is possible, and replacing the hard drive can fix that. Number 3, the Blu-ray disc drive chip has failed and cannot be fixed. So that is the one that we're delving into today. If your Blu-ray disc drive chip has failed, then you're pretty much out of luck, as only Sony has the tools to fix it, and a few very prominent, very savvy tech repair shops have come up with some ways that are somewhat successful. It comes down to the way Sony has set up the hardware to check for piracy and DRM. The chip on the Blu-ray disc drive is paired at the motherboard level to the PS4 it is installed in, which is why it's very difficult to replace a Blu-ray drive on a PS4. The purpose of the chip on the Blu-ray disc drive is to maintain the most up-to-date Blu-ray DRM firmware, our favorite acronym, DRM. Good stuff. If the chip is failed, too many overwrites, or it's burned up for other reasons, then the PS4 assumes that the Blu-ray disc drive is illegitimate, that you are pirating your game or hacking the console. That's based on what I've read and how I have interpreted it. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. If this is detected, you'll be unable to upgrade the firmware in your PS4. This is basically confirmed. If you have this code, Sony will not allow you to upgrade your firmware. It locks you out essentially from the update process in PSN. A lot of these updates being mandatory to continue using the PlayStation Network, this can lock you out of your digital games and some, if not all, of your physical games library. Now, this chip that we're talking about is called the Renaissance chip, as that is the manufacturer/brand of the chip. That's just what we call it. The Renaissance chip uses early Blu-ray DRM checking based on what we know, and is made pretty cheaply based on also what we know and the error rates and how often this shows up, and therefore it tends to fail a lot easier than most PS4 owners would expect from a company like Sony. PlayStation support has treated this code, SU-42118-6, as if the user has caused the failure and forced most owners who have reached out to customer service to pay for the service to repair or replace their console when this code shows up. If a PS4 fails outside of warranty and is caused by the consumer, the common quoted price for service is between $100 and $200 USD. It seems like Sony should know that updating the Renesas DRM chip could lead to failure. And if Sony has caused the failure via mandatory firmware update, it shouldn't matter whether the console is within its warranty period or not. I would expect in that case, Sony would repair or replace the console for free. Unfortunately, this has not been the case. In fact, there is a change.org petition to get Sony to recognize that this failure is their fault and that they should fix any console with this issue for free. That's my opinion too. You can find the petition at the link in the News Swarm Substack article. Now, a viewer of our show from somewhere in South America has been in contact with us, documenting his journey of trying to get his PS4 repaired or replaced for free due to the SU-42118-6 error code. Since September of 2021, this viewer has had this error code present on their PS4. I think multiple of them actually. Up until the end of May in 2022, both the viewer and ourselves at the CHRILLCAST assumed that Sony would just continue to ignore this issue. However, we were wrong. Viewer will be kept. The viewer's name will be kept out of this article for anonymity, but we'll provide some of the details that he has provided to us. So after this viewer reached out and started working with a lawyer, they received some tips that Sony was starting to recognize the error code SU-42118-6 as potentially their fault, and therefore they were doing some repairs and replacements for free on an as-requested basis. And I just want to remind you guys, especially in the article it even says this, don't forget that this took place in South America, so your mileage may vary elsewhere in the world. After working with several Sony representatives and calling multiple hotline numbers, the viewer got through to someone who could help them. They were told over the phone that Sony was going to fix every PS4 with the error code SU-42118-6, regardless of their warranty status, free of charge. Apparently, all they needed to start the repair/replacement process for the PS4 was a good contact email, a copy of the warranty policy, and if available, a copy of the original receipt. Below is a copy of the email with the viewer's personal information blanked out. After submitting this information to Sony, the viewer received the shipping/courier information about how to send the console to Sony to receive the repair/replacement services. They even told the viewer that if they are able to fix the console quickly, there's a small chance they would get their original console back, although I will be honest, it's very unlikely because most of the time they have refurbed units ready to go, and they will store yours in the back for a future repair. But in this case, the viewer received a refurbished unit a few days later in perfect working condition. If I had to take my best guess, Sony is quietly trying to make this issue go away by fixing or replacing people's consoles for free, taking a small loss on these repairs replacements to prevent any legal action. Which in reality, it's unlikely to occur, but they are likely betting that fixing or replacing these consoles will make people not seek any legal console. To be honest, this is the course of action I would expect from Sony with an error that they caused on an otherwise perfectly working PS4. So if you happen to be someone with a PS4 sitting around with error code SU-42118-6, I would highly recommend you call Sony's PlayStation support hotline, see if they will fix it for free based on the experience our viewer had. But remember, make sure you keep in mind that different areas of the world may have completely different policies, and so your success at this may vary. Please reach out and let us know via comments down below or on the Substack whether you get any success trying to follow this guide or follow this viewer of ours in the same process trying to get your PS4 issues resolved. And you can always email us at CHRILLCAST@gmail.com. So if you enjoyed that article, please make sure that you subscribe to our Substack, CHRILLCAST.substack.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let us know your own success rate with this new rumor/finding, whatever you want to call it. But I can confirm, based on all the emails I got, that this individual's story is accurate. He did send his PS4 off, sent me the courier information, all the other stuff. He did receive a refurbed unit back, and he did not pay a dime for it. So try yourself, see what you can find out, see if you can get this sorted out, and good luck. As always, I'm Chris. I'll see you on the next one.